We now know that our mind is connecting to up to 11 dimensions. What we're talking about is obtaining Christ consciousness.
Billy Carson silenced the interviewer with his affirmations. Please pay attention to what follows. This may be the most eye-opening video on the internet.
For people to understand how they're manifesting and how they're even getting ideas, a lot of the times you're entangling with information. If you go into a laboratory and you take two particles and you use a laser with something called parabolic down conversion, you can get those particles on the same frequency. Once you get those particles to vibrate at the same frequency, you can entangle them.
When particles vibrate together like this, they become entangled, meaning they are connected in a very unique way. When particles are entangled, their properties are linked. For example, if one particle spins in one direction, the other will spin in the opposite direction no matter how far apart they are. If you change the spin of one particle, the other one instantly changes its spin too. This connection happens faster than the speed of light and doesn't depend on the distance between the particles. Einstein referred to this phenomenon as spooky action at a distance. Now let's apply this concept to our thoughts and ideas. Our brains are made up of neurons that communicate through electrical signals. These signals create connections called synapses. Scientists have discovered that sometimes these synapses seem to disappear and then reappear. This strange behavior suggests that our thoughts might be interacting with other dimensions or realities, similar to how entangled particles interact. When you have a thought, it could be that your brain is connecting with information from another dimension or a different part of the universe. This idea means that our minds might be capable of accessing a vast pool of information beyond our physical reality.
This could be the reason behind ideas popping up in your head, people unknowingly developing the same inventions at the same time in different parts of the world simultaneously, roughly around the same time. And also the capability for people to manifest things and attract things into their life.
This could also account for why people around the world often develop the same inventions or ideas simultaneously, despite having no contact with each other. It could also explain how people can manifest things and attract them into their lives. Billy believes that the way a person thinks and focuses their mind acts like a magnet. By comparing this to Einstein's theory of relativity, he explains it more clearly. In Einstein's theory, a planet warps the space around it, creating gravity. Objects fall towards the planet because the space is bent or curved around it. Now, if we replace the planet with the person's consciousness, it suggests that consciousness can warp the ether of the universe in a similar way.
When you start to focus your mind heavily on a specific thing that you want to manifest into your life or bring into your reality, somehow those synapses entangle with something in the universe. Then the universe says, send this his way, send this her way, and it begins to fall toward you.
Billy believes that this process of things falling towards a person begins with a form of entanglement. When someone focuses their mind intensely on something they wish to manifest in their life, their neural synapses might entangle with something in the universe. This entanglement then acts as a signal, prompting the universe to send that desired thing their way. It's as if the universe responds to the focused energy by aligning events and opportunities to bring that desired outcome closer to the person. This idea suggests that our thoughts have a tangible effect on our reality. By focusing our conscious energy on specific goals or desires, we can attract those things into our lives, similar to how a planet's gravity attracts objects. The entanglement of our thoughts with the universe might be the mechanism through which this attraction happens, causing the universe to respond and bring the focused desires to fruition.
We now know that our mind is connecting to up to 11 dimensions. So as you're focusing on things, you could even be connecting to information in higher dimensions.
When we focus on something, we might be accessing information from these higher dimensions. This could explain why some physics and mystics, such as Edgar Cayce, were able to tap into information to provide cures for illnesses. Cayce claimed he could send his mind out into the universe to retrieve answers because the answers already exist out there. The idea is that we all entangle with information throughout the universe, but we often don't recognize or understand it. Some individuals who seem to have special abilities might be better at discerning and utilizing this information as it comes to them. They can analyze it and apply it effectively, which appears as if they have extraordinary capabilities. This perspective suggests that everyone has the potential to connect with universal information, but it requires a certain level of awareness and focus to harness it. It is thought that we all had these abilities at a high level in the past. If you look into ancient texts and the fossil records, you'll find evidence of early humans with larger jawbones and much bigger skulls, which indicates bigger brains. These early humans, who existed before Homo sapiens, were likely very sophisticated and possessed natural abilities such as telekinesis, telepathy, psychic abilities, and the ability to sense the Earth's magnetic field.
We all have these abilities natural. All of that was built into us and still is. If you look right now in science, we have billions of magnetite crystals in our heads. But yet, you and I can't navigate the Earth without GPS. Why is that?
There are billions of magnetite crystals in our heads, which should allow us to navigate the Earth without GPS, much like turtles and birds do. However, most people today are unaware of this ability. Experiments have shown that these crystals in our brains still track the Earth's magnetic field, but we have lost our conscious awareness of this capability.
We have a lot of junk DNA. I don't believe it's junk. I believe that DNA used to be connected, and that now it's been disconnected by some artificial force, which has disconnected us from a lot of our natural, everyday, birthright-given abilities.
Scientists refer to junk DNA as the extra DNA in our bodies that they don't know the purpose of. They think it's just there without any function, lying around unused. However, I believe that this DNA is supposed to be connected and active. DNA is known to be a storage medium of information. For instance, a scientist named George Church took a book including multimedia content and encoded it into DNA. He then retrieved it back from the DNA, converting it back into its original form on a computer. He managed to replicate the book 80 billion times and store all of that data in just one drop of DNA. This essentially created a working DNA hard drive, capable of storing an immense amount of information.
You can store immense amount of information. They estimate that one human body can store 13.5 billion years of data.
Wow.
And how old is the universe?
I have no idea.
13.5 billion years.
This means that everything that has happened since the beginning of time could theoretically be stored within our bodies and minds. We can think of ourselves as a walking universal library. Our existence allows the universe to experience and understand the third dimension. Through quantum entanglement, everything is connected. The separation and distance we perceive are illusions. Although it seems we're sitting in separate chairs with space between us, on an atomic level, we're all part of an interconnected energetic grid. At the quantum level, we're still in the same position, which is the original position. The universe is constructed as a holographic matrix, a pattern of light, indicating a sophisticated design rather than taking away from the idea of a creator. Quantum physicists have discovered that humans and everything else in the universe exists both as waves of light and as solid matter. They captured the transformation of a wave into solid matter using a special camera. This discovery, known as wave-particle duality, shows that everything in the universe first exists as waves of light. When a conscious observer interacts with it, it collapses into solid matter. To understand this, imagine that your house, when not observed, exists as a wave of potential. It becomes a solid structure when someone looks at it. The house's specific atomic construction gives it a particular frequency, ensuring it appears the same to anyone observing it. But until observed, it's just a wave of possibilities.
Quantum physicists will tell you that a human being exists both as a wave of light and also solid matter. And they got the first image of a wave converting into solid matter on a special type of camera. This is in physics.org. So in wave-particle duality, they discovered that everything in the entire universe exists first as waves of light until a conscious observer interacts with it, and then it collapses.
This concept is supported by the double-slit experiment, which has shown that the act of observation collapses waves of light into solid matter. Let me explain this in simpler terms. In the double-slit experiment, scientists wanted to see how particles like electrons behave when they're shot through two narrow openings or slits onto a wall behind them. They expected to see individual dots on the wall where each electron hit. However, instead of seeing a pattern of dots, they observed a wave-like pattern, which was confusing because they were shooting single electrons, not waves. To investigate further, they placed the camera inside the box to watch what was happening. Surprisingly, when the electrons realized they were being watched, they stopped behaving like waves and started hitting the wall in single spots, forming the expected dot pattern. When the camera was removed, the wave pattern reappeared. This suggests that electrons somehow knew they were being observed and changed their behavior accordingly. This led to the idea that electrons, and therefore all atoms, which are made of electrons, have some form of consciousness or awareness. Since everything is made of atoms, this means everything in the universe, from the chair you sit on to the clothes you wear, has a level of consciousness. Regarding what holds us together, it's the forces between atoms, primarily the electromagnetic force that keep the atoms in your body and all other objects connected and structured in a particular way. These forces are incredibly strong at the microscopic level, which is why physical objects, including our bodies, hold together and maintain their form.
You don't touch anything. So I may look like I'm touching this chair right now, right? I'm not actually touching the chair. You actually never touch anything. The repulsion of the electromagnetic frequency orbiting the electrons and atoms in my hand are repelling the ones inside the chair, creating a repulsive force, not allowing my hand to pass through the chair, because honestly, atoms are 99.999% empty space. And so what that means is atoms are mostly empty. There's nothing there. The only thing we have is these electromagnetic fields that give us the illusion of separation and solidity.
So when you touch something, it's actually the electromagnetic fields interacting, not the physical atoms touching each other.
And so if I can obtain the atomic frequency of the vibration of the atoms in this chair and make my hand match that frequency, I would pass my hand right through the chair like it didn't even exist. So there's probably people, beings, maybe on other planets or maybe even here now, that have learned this technique. We're gonna match the frequency of this wall and just walk right through. Imagine a military that puts on a special suit that can match the frequency of a solid concrete wall and walk right through the wall. It's gonna look like magic, but it's just technology, you see? They understand how to match frequencies.
If you took all 8 billion people on Earth and removed the empty space in their atoms, you could fit everyone into a space the size of a sugar cube. This highlights how much of what we perceive as solid matter is actually empty space. Our consciousness, the essence of who we are, doesn't originate in our brain. Instead, it exists in a higher dimension and inhabits our physical bodies or avatars here in the third dimension. This consciousness comes to us through an invisible beam of light, connecting our higher selves to our physical existence. Our consciousness inhabits our physical body, which can be thought of as an avatar. It's important to understand that our body doesn't create our consciousness. Instead, it downloads it. This downloading is facilitated by specific structures in our brain, particularly 3 giant neurons that wrap around the inside of the skull like a crown of thorns, which is an interesting metaphor since it resembles the imagery of a crown of thorns. Everyone essentially has this crown of thorns inside their head. Additionally, we have the neocortex at the front of our brain, responsible for spatial and higher reasoning. Together with magnetite crystals in our brain, these elements harness and maintain the frequency that makes up our unique identity, allowing us to experience life through this physical form. This avatar body serves as our temporary vessel until it eventually wears out due to entropy, at which point our spirit energy is released back into the source to be recycled and used again. Understanding this concept highlights that we are already eternal beings. When we talk to ourselves, we're actually communicating with our higher self form from a higher dimension.
We are all supernatural, eternal beings. A lot of people are trying to fight to become eternal, but we already are eternal. We've already been here for eons and eons. There could be people that you know that look like kids that are ancient. And there also can be people that are older people that are newborn babies spiritually. Could be their first time arriving here in this energy format.
You're talking about old souls.
Old souls, right. Exactly, old souls. There could be a kid that could be ancient, could be eons old. And there could be a lady that could be 70, that could be brand new. First cycle here.
Everything is part of a single, unified consciousness. When we interact with others, we are essentially interacting with different expressions of the same consciousness. This interconnectedness doesn't make us feel small. Rather, it makes us feel part of something incredibly vast and significant. In essence, everything is connected, and we're all part of one universal consciousness. The idea that we share a consciousness is rooted in the concept that all individual experiences are aspects of a single unified consciousness. This perspective suggests that the presence of good and evil in the world is a reflection of this unity. In religious texts such as the Bible, it is stated that God creates both good and evil, representing the balance of yin and yang, positive and negative forces that permeate the entire universe. Although we share a common consciousness, our individual experiences are like different radio stations tuned to various frequencies. Just as you can switch between different radio channels, each person operates on a unique frequency, creating distinct experiences. All these frequencies originate from a single universal source, much like radio stations broadcast from one central location but offer different content. Our consciousness, though stemming from one source, transmits in various frequencies to experience life in the third dimension in every possible form. Each person embodies a unique frequency, with slight variations allowing for diverse experiences.
Everything we create is a fractal of what's on the largest scale, as above, so below. So what would a radio be universally? Okay, consciousness says, okay, I want to see what it's like to experience life in this third dimension as everything that can possibly exist in every format. So I'm going to transmit out these frequencies. 99.1, Billy Carson. 99.2, you. 99.3, Jane Doe. 99.4, so forth and so on. And so these frequencies are encapsulated in our bodies, but they're coming from one source. A slight variance of the range frequency, a slight dot number off, and you have another experience.
This process enables the universe to understand itself from multiple perspectives. This interconnectedness suggests that our individual experiences are part of a larger unified experiment. The universe, through these varied frequencies, explores the duality of existence, possibly aiming to transform and rid itself of darkness, evolving into a realm of pure light. This grand experiment highlights the significance of our experiences, showing that everything we encounter contributes to the universal journey of understanding and growth. The concept of living in a simulation suggests that our universe is a constructed reality, much like a virtual simulation. This idea aligns with the belief that the universe is a created entity supported by observations in quantum physics. Quantum physics suggests that the universe did not spontaneously appear but was instead designed by some entity or force. Recent advancements in laboratory experiments have led scientists to create an eighth-dimensional quasi-crystal. This complex structure provided insights into understanding the nature of the third dimension. When this eighth-dimensional quasi-crystal was positioned at a specific angle, it created a fourth-dimensional quasi-crystal. Further manipulation of the fourth-dimensional quasi-crystal produced a shadow that formed the sphere representing our universe. This discovery indicates that our universe might be the shadow of a higher dimensional structure. Specifically, the angle of a higher multidimensional quasi-crystal could be responsible for creating the spherical universe we inhabit. Unlike typical shadows cast by objects blocking light, this is a shadow of light itself, forming a light matrix. The creation of this realm is described as involving advanced spiritual technology, incorporating divine matter, wisdom, and knowledge.
But what's interesting about the darkness in this yin and yang, it always seems to be a battle against each other, but in the end, for the most part, the light always seems to win. Even if it takes a long period of time, the cycle happens where the darkness leaves and the light comes in. We're sitting in a room right now that's pretty well lit, right? If I was to turn on something dark, I couldn't make the light dim any. In other words, there's no darkness I can inject into this room with these physical lights that would make this room dark right now. Mm-hmm. But if I turn all these lights off and just do something as simple as turn on the light on my cell phone, the darkness will flee from that light instantaneously.
Billy ties this idea to the concept of obtaining Christ consciousness. He interprets the return of Christ not as the physical return of Jesus, but as the awakening of Christ consciousness within every individual.
What we're talking about is obtaining Christ consciousness. I get a little emotional about this because it's so powerful. Sorry. So we're talking about this. See, Christ never said he was returning. Jesus never said he was coming back. He said that Christ will return. We're talking about this. When every single person gets this right, it's back, and we're back in the golden age.
It's important you understand the laws that govern our universe, because in understanding them, you can get in harmony with them and attract what you desire.
It's something that you really got to pay a lot of attention to. It's not something you learn overnight. But you get studying this, and you can literally have anything you want.
But before we can look at using natural laws to attract what you desire, we must first understand what it is. Simply put, natural law is an observable law relating to natural phenomena. These laws govern everything that happens in the universe. These laws aren't good or bad. They don't aim to help or hurt or be positive or negative. They simply are. And in their neutrality, they are precise. The problem is that not many are aware of this. These laws operate in our lives constantly, dictating the results we get. Have you ever had a dream that seems to come true a few days later? Do you get a bad feeling, and what you feared came to pass? The universe does not discriminate between good and bad. The thoughts you have, whatever they are, will manifest with no regard for impact. The most well-known law of nature is the law of attraction, and you have very likely stumbled upon YouTube videos, Reels, and TikToks teaching you ways to attract what you desire, from money in abundance to your dream house and a soulmate. The law of attraction states that the things you focus on in your life are what you will attract into your life. Here, thoughts are a form of energy. So when you think, "I hope I won't fall sick," the universe doesn't conclude that you don't wish to fall sick. It only picks up on your negativity and fear and returns the same energy back to you.
A lot of people just use their imagination for, gosh, I hope this doesn't happen, or I hope that doesn't happen. They're letting it go in the wrong direction.
The law of vibration, though, is a little bit different. You see, it's the primary law, and the law of attraction is only the secondary law, because vibration is what leads to attraction. Albert Einstein said, quote, "Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy, this is physics." When you raise your vibrations to the thing you want to achieve, nothing stops you from attracting the object of your desire.
When John Kennedy, when he was the President of the United States, asked the good doctor, the father of the space program, greatest scientist, what it would take to build a rocket that'll carry a person to the moon and bring him back safely to Earth. He answered him in 5 words. He said, "The will to do it."
That confidence and conviction comes from utmost faith in yourself and in the universe. The universe is in a constant state of movement, and these movements are vibrations. The speed of rate at which it vibrates is called a frequency. The only difference between any two objects is their frequency. Even objects you believe are static or still, like a table or a house, vibrate at a slow speed.
When you photograph mass, you can photograph the energy coming from it. You can photograph a plant, and you'll see there's a vibration coming from the plant. Everything vibrates. A garden rock is vibrating. Everything moves. Nothing rests.
Your body, however, vibrates at an extremely high rate, and it impacts more than you know.
It starts right in your own mind, right in your own head. Your mind activates brain cells. And when those brain cells are activated, you're impacted. You impact the whole universe. Do you know that thought waves are cosmic waves that penetrate all time and space?
Your thoughts and feelings control the vibration of your body, and because that's the case, you also have the power to dictate the frequency you vibrate at. Your feelings or your vibrations will attract people and things to you that are a vibrational match. Simply put, you get what you put out there. If you are a negative person who always focuses on how things can go wrong, you will attract people who are also pessimistic and unwilling to look on the bright side. If you are hardworking and ambitious, you will keep a circle of equally hardworking and ambitious friends. While it is accurate to assume that your thoughts become things, it's more accurate to say that your vibration becomes things. The difference between the law of attraction and the law of vibration is that the former focuses on what you want, while the latter tells you what you have to give in order to receive.
We teach you the primary cause of the good that you desire. You take care of the cause, the effect always takes care of itself.
So, how can you begin to think and feel differently in order to attract your dream life? Bob Proctor has the answer. Bob Proctor was a Canadian self-help author, best known for this New York Times bestseller, You Were Born Rich, and for his role in The Secret movie. And he doesn't just preach about using the law of vibration to get what you want. Proctor has used these techniques himself to earn a better life. He went from having no purpose or aim in his life to making millions through his business.
I had really been struggling my whole life. Never had a half-decent job, had nothing really going for me. And here I am, owning a company that operates in 7 cities, 3 countries. And I thought, how did it happen?
According to him, channeling your vibrational energy consciously in the right direction has the incredible potential to create miracles. Therefore, paying attention to your energy, as well as the energy of the people and things that surround you, can help you elevate your vibrations and exist at the same frequency as the things you desire. How does that work? Quantum physics postulates that every particle in the universe is made up of energy, and microscopic studies have shown that matter is composed of molecules and atoms that also vibrate at a certain frequency. Our bodies are 99.999% empty space. In fact, all matter is mostly space, and the remaining mass is energy. If we condensed every living being to the point where there was no space between molecules, the entirety of our species would fit into the volume of a sugar cube. This empty space isn't for nothing. It allows for atoms to oscillate, electrons to pop in and out, and waves to function. And this is where the quantum world takes place, in the space between mass. A majority of our bodies are made up of quantum particles that we don't fully understand yet. To date, we've really only studied less than 1% of our bodies because we've only focused on the physical part, the part we can see and touch and feel. Because we're physical beings, we understand mass, matter, and atoms quite well because these things operate in a way similar to how we experience our physical reality. However, how can we begin to understand emptiness? We don't see it or feel it, it isn't tangible, and yet it's the most important part of ourselves. And the law of vibration operates in this space, or more precisely, within the oscillations in space that we experience at an atomic level. It's rooted in quantum mysticism, which cites quantum mechanics. The topic is explored more deeply in literature, namely in Fritjof Capra's book, The Tao of Physics, which looks at the parallels between quantum physics and the principles of Eastern mystery. Then came Quantum Healing by Deepak Chopra, which explained the theory of mind and body healing using quantum concepts, followed later by his book, Ageless Body, which discussed healing, reverse aging, and immortality by adopting quantum worldview. Essentially, our bodies are made of information and energy that we can only perceive as solid matter because we never learned any different. But this avenue is less explored. The way the quantum world functions is still largely unknown to us because it's still a very new field. It's still a work in progress in the scientific community and still quite elusive. In the quantum world, you could throw a ball at a wall, and it might reappear behind you and hit you on the head. These electrons are present everywhere and nowhere, all simultaneously, and they can only be perceived as 100% real when there is an observer. And we still don't know why it works that way. The wave-particle duality has been used to explain manifestation, but the truth is that even manifestation experts don't really know how it works. This is why we have no such formula for manifesting. We're in the dark about many things in quantum mysticism, and we look to quantum mechanics for answers, whenever they may come. However, knowing for certain how it works isn't necessary. We can still embark on the journey to increasing our vibrations and attracting a better life. The key is first learning about yourself, because it all comes down to your intuition. Have you ever had a hunch about something? Your head says one thing after weighing the pros and cons, but a certain prickly feeling or voice in your head tells you to go the other way. Or maybe you walked into a room after an argument and felt the heaviness without even seeing the faces of the people present. The law of vibration is closely tied to your intuition and is responsible for those gut feelings you get. Taking a different route to work and missing an accident, taking a day off from the office and your workplace facing a crisis, all of these are examples of how the law of vibration is already operating in your life. You may not recognize it, but it's there. Quantum physicists are currently studying the entanglement of atoms, which happens when atoms share information across large distances. This could explain why you might intuitively know something before it happens to a loved one before a huge disaster. Your atoms could be communicating. This understanding is also responsible for the people you're attracted to. If you've ever met someone you just didn't like, but couldn't quite figure out why, the law of vibration may have been at play. You may not have been a match for their vibration, which is why you felt like getting out of there immediately. On the positive side, this law can also be felt anytime you walk on a beach or go hiking and feel peaceful, loved, and calm. The vibrations of the atoms in the environment around us significantly impact what we feel. Energetically, nature is very strong and has a positive impact on our bodies. So, now that we have understood somewhat how the law of vibration works, how we impact it, and how it impacts us, how can we actually begin raising our vibrations?
As Van de Waal taught me, he says it's all in awareness, Bob. He said there's a marvelous inner world that exists within us. And the revelation of such a world enables us to do, to attain, to achieve anything we desire within the bounds or limits of nature.
Why is this important? It goes back to the words of Einstein. If you get into the picture, into the energy of the good you desire, you can't help but manifest it. In the early 2000s, a woman named Sally Gallagher attended one of Proctor's seminars. She was a securities attorney and, by his words, a financial genius, and she loved Proctor's teachings. One thing led to another, and Gallagher became Proctor's business partner, which worked out perfectly because Proctor was making money he didn't know how to manage. He essentially attracted the perfect business partner who took care of the thing he needed help with the most.
And I could just go ahead and do what I love doing. And I knew that our company was in good hands with that. And Sandy runs our company. She is the CEO, the president of the company.
Simply put, you've got to become aware of what you want and hold that image in your mind for it to move into reality. Here's another way to put it. You are moving this image from your subconscious mind to your conscious mind.
It's the thoughts that you think in your conscious mind that you impress upon your subconscious mind that causes you to feel the way you feel. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. Those feelings are expressed with and through your physical body. That causes the action which produces the result. Now, getting them all lined up is called attitude. Now, some people line up on the negative side. They're going to see what's wrong. And you know something? They're right. There's something wrong. Other people go on the positive side. They see what's good. And they're right. There's something good. You can find what's right or wrong in anything. Doesn't matter what you're looking at.
We have the ability to think anything we want to think, and our thoughts dictate our feelings because we get emotionally involved with them. This emotional involvement then leads to actions that produce results. However, the problem is with thinking, the very first step in this entire process. Most of us don't think. Mental activity doesn't count as thinking. Your reaction to loud sounds, any mental images, hearing a police siren and assuming something bad has happened. This isn't thinking. You are capable of higher faculties.
You have perception, the will, reason, imagination, memory, intuition. These higher faculties are what literally separate us from all the rest of the animal kingdom. All the rest of the little animal kingdom, they're completely at home in their environment. They blend in. You and I are totally disoriented in our environment.
And you can tap into this ability once you become aware of what you require from the universe.
And as you understand yourself a lot better, you're going to find your finances are going to improve, your health is going to improve, your relationships are going to improve, your whole world starts to get better. The educated mind is also referred to sometimes as the intellectual mind. That's where all the intellectual factors are. Remember I told you what they were? You had perception, the will, reason, imagination, memory, and intuition. There's 6 of them. They are our mental muscles. And as you start to understand how to develop them, you can become a very powerful person.
When you achieve a state of total awareness of yourself and your ambitions, the possibilities are endless. Find your purpose and latch onto that mental image with every fiber of your being, believing that you are meant for it, and it is meant for you. Our universe is limitless, and even the world's leading physicists cannot confidently say they comprehend everything that goes on within it. It is buzzing with energy and power, and once you achieve mental clarity, you can claim this energy and power for yourself. Take some time today to reconnect with yourself and your inner world to start raising your vibrations and living the life you were meant to. If you enjoyed this video and learned something, please hit the like button and subscribe to Be Inspired for more educational and motivational content. Thanks for watching.